bugs. I'm joined tonight with some fabulous bugs students. We have a couple of bugs teachers and staff. Principal Winnett is with us. So we really hope that you'll learn more about our special school and that you'll get your questions answered. Congratulations to those of you who were offered a seat. We know that some of you that are earlier on in the wait list are also with us tonight, and we wish you a lot of luck. We hope this is helpful in your important decision about where your child goes to middle school and is the best fit for them. We are going to have the welcome. We're going to go into teaching and learning. You'll be hearing from the student perspective at Bugs. You'll get a sense of life at Bugs and the after school. We'll take a little bit of a virtual tour. We're so sorry we can't show you our awesome space, but soon enough, I hope. And we'll do questions and answers at the end. So as I said, we've got some Bugs team members, teachers and families here, current families as well, to help answer your questions. Before I move on to some of the quick facts, Kevin, do you want to introduce yourself briefly and welcome folks who speak Spanish and how they can access you?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Like Susan said, my name is Kevin Peñalosa, and I'm the parent coordinator at Brooklyn Urban Garden Charter School, aka Bugs. And I'm so glad to meet all of you. I'm looking forward to showing you and helping you get to know our special school. For our Spanish-speaking families, si tienen algunas preguntas en español, yo puedo responder aquí o en el chat, o me puede mandar un mensaje de texto a 347-684-2176. Lo voy a poner en el chat también. Y también si tiene otra pregunta, también me puede escribir por correo electrónico que voy a poner en el chat también. Gracias. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy the presentation.
Thanks so much, Kevin. Kevin's amazing. So quick facts about Bugs. We have about 300 students, so 100 a grade, which is really great. So our class sizes are on average, 24 to 28. Our hybrid class sizes are currently 10 to 15. All classes are co-taught, so all of the major subjects are co-taught and in an ICT model, which is really wonderful. Our uniform policy is there's a Bugs shirt, a Land's End top, which is our uniform. There's also various t-shirts, but there's a lot of flexibility with whatever you want to wear on the bottom. We experience, part of our key design element is extended time for learning. So we have a longer school day and a longer school year. Please note that school starts for us on August 30th of 2021. Okay, so that's the week before Labor Day. This allows our new students to really experience the space on their own. They're actually alone in the building for a few days before our new other kids come on, and then our 7th and 8th graders come on. So it's a really nice way for 6th graders to kind of get into the space and for us to get to know them and for them to get to know each other and their advisors and staff. We also do some preliminary testing just to make sure that we know where your kids are in their abilities. We have 5-day per week on-site instruction expected for next year. Of course, we are always keeping an eye out for the health and safety regulations. We are very encouraged by the positive shifts in the CDC recommendations, and we are planning and anticipating having 5-day per week on-site instruction. Our school hours are, for this year, 8:10 to 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, depending on the individual student's schedule. So that's somewhat what you could expect for next year. So we can go to the next slide. Thank you. All right, so Bugs is a charter school. So I'll just tell you briefly about that. First, I'll tell you about our mission. We are a very mission-driven school. It informs our decisions. It informs what we do and how we do it. Our mission is to provide a hands-on interdisciplinary education to young adolescents of all abilities and backgrounds with a focus on real-world problem solving and the exploration of social, economic, and environmental sustainability. Bugs students will excel in the core academic subjects and become engaged community members who are critical thinkers, prepared to achieve excellence in high school and beyond, and contribute to a more just, equitable, and sustainable future. So adolescence is such a key, pivotal moment in a child's development, and we lean into that. We focus on these middle years, as we said, and we believe strongly that the real world approach and the interdisciplinary focus on sustainability is not only necessary for our planet, but is also really key in developing critical thinking and adolescent engagement sort of in a positive way in society, and positive rebellion, so to speak, in our kids. And we're so much more than just gardens. So please, kids, as you may have heard me before, if you attended another session, it's not just about gardens. It's really about being part of your community and making it a better place. But our gardens are a great place to do it. We can head to the next slide. We're a really innovative middle school. We are a charter school, which means that we are independent of the Department of Education. We are a public school, of course, we're free. We, by law, give priority to District 15 families, and you heard about some of the other preferences in the admissions page there, or if you attended the lottery. We have various key design elements, and these are some of the major components of our school and our approach. We have a whole child approach. We are very focused on the student. We have a small, inclusive, and very intentionally diverse community, and we are always working on our admissions policies to meet those goals as well. We have a hands-on, real-world problem-solving approach, and we focus on sustainability education. One of the things I think that really defines Bugs, as you may be comparing us to other options, when you find out your DOE options or other things that you're looking at, Bugs is very special in its it has a very family-like approach. We're small, your child is very much known. It is an opportunity for your child at this tender time of transition to be a bigger fish in a smaller pond. And if that's something that seems important to you and your family for this particular child, that may inform your decision. And it's there's very much a can-do attitude from our staff and from our families, from our kids. They're all contributing to make this a special place. We did not set out to create the school necessarily to be a charter school and be separate from the system, but we do really appreciate the latitude that we have, and we're going to lean into that to really innovate for our kids and for kids to be part of making this the best place it can be. So we can go ahead to the next slide. So I want to introduce you to our principal, Wynette Caesar, who you might have met in other presentations. She's awesome, and she's going to overview some of the teaching and learning at Bugs before we hear from the kids and get to your questions.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome, and we're really happy that you're taking the time to spend with us this afternoon and learn more about Bugs. As the previous slide showed, we do have a very diverse group of people working at Bugs, from our teaching staff to our main office staff to our support staff, our leadership team. And you will find, once you made the decision to come and join us, that everyone on our team takes a special interest in all of the children at Bugs. Our teachers are very experienced. Many of them have been with us for over 4 years. They are a very collaborative group of people. They're diverse. They bring various experiences with them. They're invested in the program at Bugs, and they all have a growth mindset. We have lots of professional development and coaching happening at Bugs. We have many opportunities for teacher leadership, and our teachers are really invested in supporting each other in those roles. Again, our curriculum is interdisciplinary. We have cycle projects that happen where teachers work across content areas to plan for students and to engage them in learning, so that they go from one class to the next and they are making connections with curriculum across the board. We have, as Susan mentioned before, co-teaching teams who are very strong and really love working together and planning together. We have invested time in our schedule for our teachers to do that really deep dive into planning and do it as a team. So these are all things that are really important to us at Bugs, and as you get to know us better, you will see how this all plays out for us on a daily basis across the school year. Kevin, can we go to the next slide, please? All right, so here are the core components of what we do. We do challenge students to think critically. This is a really important part of our curriculum and comes across in all areas at Bugs, in all sub-content, core content, enrichment program, all of it. We do plan to push kids to really think and make decisions and contribute to their community, both academically, socially, emotionally. These are all things that are important to us for middle school development, and all of our team, including our Office of Student Affairs, work together to make sure that this is taking place. We provide, of course, different settings and opportunities to apply learning. We use our outdoor spaces, our garden, Prospect Park, Greenwood Park, many other places in the neighborhood. Of course, this year we had a few restrictions on the places that we can use, but we do create these partnerships so that our students can learn in different settings and be engaged in the community in different ways. Again, integrated co-teaching across the board in all core content areas. We have an advisory program that is developed by one of our guidance counselors, Miss Anna Lee, to work on the social emotional aspect, but this happens across the board in content area as well. We do have a Director of Inclusion, Ms. Sade Martinez, who collaborates with teachers and also supports in all areas with students with IEPs, English language learners, the intervention program that we provide with for students in all content areas. So if you have any concerns or you have a child with an IEP, Ms. Sade is the person who will support you through that process and making sure that all of the supports are in place for the students at Bugs. Next slide, please. So this is a typical day at school. Students have advisory, they have reading class, writing class, social studies, math. We prepare kids to take the Algebra 1 Regents in science. In the 8th grade level, we prepare kids to take the Living Environments Regents class so that they leave Bugs with high school credits. We have 3 sustainability courses teaching kids the foundations of sustainability in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And of course, we provide PE, as well as enrichment classes. And when we go to the next slide, we'll talk more about that. Can we move along, please, Kevin? Thank you. So this year we were able to have a creative and performing arts class. We have studio art. As part of our enrichment classes, we have Spanish in 7th and 8th grade this year. And we also have technology courses in which students do robotics. They create portfolios, they do design and programming, and also learn basic technology skills like typing and so forth. We are very proud to say that we weren't happy to have to do the state test this year because of the current circumstances, but we did do across the board 6th through 8th computer-based testing. There was no paper involved, and our students were quite prepared technologically to do so. We have a great tech team who not only takes care of our technology, but also provides professional development for our teachers and are a part of creating the technology program for students as well at Bugs. So we have lots of clubs. You'll hear some more about this from Miss Lucy and Mr. Mark, but some of the clubs that we have include National Junior Honor Society, singing, step, art, garden club, theater, Bugs Pride Community, Student Council, and students as well as staff are open to creating those clubs, applying to have a club and requesting teacher support to run the clubs. They happen during lunch. And again, they're open to anyone who is interested in doing so. Next slide, please. I'm very excited to introduce Lily, who will tell you a little bit more about Bugs and her experience at Bugs.
Hi, I'm Lily Nguyen, and in my time at Bugs so far, it has been amazing. I have learned a lot. I used to go to the elementary school PS 154, and now I go here as a sixth grader at Bugs. There's a lot of different projects in sustainability, but I'm going to tell you a few. And it's not just in sustainability, it's also in science and reading. Okay, for sustainability, there is an amazing tree project that we just did. People would help trees, and we've learned about so much about it. Like if there's litter in the trees, then it would help. It would affect its soil growth, and and we're learning all about how we should keep trees alive and how it helps us. And the Urban Trees Project has been really educating because I've done, for my project, I did litter pickup. And for the litter pickup, we got some people, not a lot of people, but we got some people, friends, family, and we all started picking up trash. It was a huge litter, it was like a litter pickup, and we walked by highways, and it was really nice because we told people and educated people about how litter can really affect trees and street trees that are not in front of houses, because in front of houses, people tend to pick up their trash if they're going outside or doing everyday jobs. And we found that where there wasn't houses right in front of them, there was more trash. So we all picked up there, and we ended up with 14 bags of trash. For science, we did our geothermal project, and for geothermal, we did our science project. So we each got to choose an energy that would be better than fossil fuels. I chose geothermal energy, and we did our studying. We did every single thing for that. We made slides. We helped educate people by making posters, and we have done a lot of stuff near that project. I did a geothermal project, so I decided to educate people. I did an interview with someone to tell them about how geothermal would help us and how it would be good for us. For reading, we did environmental justice, and with environmental justice, there was 3 projects that we could choose from. I chose racial justice and environmental justice and how it is linked together. And I've found that some exciting things that it was really educating learning about that, and we're just starting it now. We also have field studies in the park. We also have field studies where we go to cemeteries and parks, and it's very educating because we all go there and we all get into groups and we walk around naming trees, seeing what edible plants, and having a lot of fun outside together. And it's very fun and educating, and it's a nice experience. I also have really loved my experience with Bugs. Like, I know I've said that, but it's really amazing. I feel like I'm in a community together with a lot of people. All of the classes are very educating. Sustainability is one of my favorite subjects, and you should go because it has taught me a lot through my 1 year here. Thank you for listening.
Sounds like Lily's so busy, right?
Hi, I'm Lily Nguyen.
plays a very huge part in everything that happens at Bugs in all content areas. As you can see, it comes through in not just the sustainability course, but in reading, in writing, in social studies, in science, in math, across grade levels. It is a constant presence. Kids can tell you all about this sustainability competencies, multiple perspectives, systems thinking, action orientation, and all of that entails. So it's a pretty hands-on experience. Again, you can tell that there's a lot of critical thinking that is happening from 6th grade into 8th grade for students. Another important part of what happens at Bugs is our community and our culture. We have an Office of Student Affairs that has a dean and an associate dean, and also other members of staff who support with the students' culture and building community. What that looks like is a restorative justice approach and practices where students do peer mediation, they do restorative circles. We use the CARES values. This is how we live the dream at Bugs of community awareness, reach. Sorry, I'm just like blanking
Exploration.
Exploration, that's the one. Exploration and student voice and sustainability. Thank you, Susan. I know this stuff, I swear. But it all just is the way that we approach community and community building and celebrations here at Bugs in our house systems. It all connects across the board. We have great celebrations, even remotely. We had an amazing orientation that was planned by our dean and our director of math and involved all of our teachers and students. It was virtual. It was engaging. Students got to do an amazing virtual game that involved the CARES values, and it really set everyone up for a great year, even under the circumstances that we are in. Our house systems allow students to participate in activities across grade levels, so they get to know other students who are in 7th grade, 8th grade, to collaborate with them and to really get support from the older students as they need it. And it's an amazing thing to see and to experience for them. Next slide, please. So again, we do have all of these clubs and leadership opportunities for our students, and it is my pleasure to introduce you to Miss Lucy Davis and Mr. Mark, who will tell you a little bit more about student life at Bugs and leadership opportunities that they have in the clubs, and also introduce you to some of their students.
Thank you for that, Lynette. Hi.
Welcome. I'm Mrs. Davis. I'm a 6th grade social studies teacher and the grade team leader and the advisor of these lovely clubs. And it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Mark, who is my co-teacher and co-advisor. So welcome to Bugs. Mr. Mark, do you want to start off and talk about Student Council?
Sure thing. So Student Council is a club in which we really embody that really like that strong Bugs value of student voice and really trying to make sure that students are involved in what happens in their day-to-day. We organize various events, fundraisers. We also organize the school's newspaper, and join with us today are 3 students who are part of both Student Council, and 2 of them are members of the Hornet Headlines. So it is my pleasure to introduce to you Gabriel Bailey, Sol Cullen, and Lila Gilbert, 3 of our students here at Bugs.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hey.
Gabe, do you want to talk about Student Council?
Yeah, sure. So, hi everybody. My name is Gabriel Bailey. I'm a sixth grader at Bugs, and last fall I volunteered for student council because I wanted to be in the room where it happens. My first day as a sixth grade student representative, I joined what's called the cookbook team. On the cookbook team, our job is to make a cookbook filled with the recipes of students and their families to sell copies of to make a profit for the school. This is only one of the many 100% student-run projects in Student Council. Others include the Hornet Headlines, which Sol and Lelia are on. I think there's a new one that's based around the posters in the hallway of Bugs, motivational posters. And everybody is allowed to join the Student Council. And one of my favorite parts of student council is that you get to meet other students. So like where you would only have known another student through an interaction in the hallway or at recess, you can now know them through student council and a project you worked on together.
Thank you so much, Gabe. And coming soon, we are going to have a Bugs cookbook that will also hopefully use things that are in our gardens so we can grow the things that we use in our recipes. Sol, I'm going to pass it over to you to talk about the Hornet Headlines. Sol is our editor.
Hi everyone. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Sol Carlin, and I'm a sixth grader at Bugs. What I really like about the student council is, well, I am the editor-in-chief of the Hornet Headlines. So basically my job is at the end of each month, we have a deadline for everyone to turn in their articles. And then in the beginning of the next month, the newspaper is released, and then again in the next month. So we have a paper every month. And I just have everyone hand all their articles to me and then edit them and put them all together into a Google Doc so then people can read them. And I think I really love the Hornet Headlines because when I grow up, I want to be a writer because I just love writing so much. And I've always wanted to be part of a newspaper. So when I found out that there was the Hornet Headlines at Bugs made by the glorious Mr. Mark and Miss Davis, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be so great. I can't believe it. And I also am part of the BPC, which is the Bugs Pride community. And it's really a place where I feel like there's always someone there who can make you feel like you're not the only person who feels a certain way, or you're not the only person who feels a certain way. And I just really like that. And I think that having these clubs in Bugs is really great and has definitely helped me through my sixth grade year during COVID.
Thank you so much for sharing. Lila, did you want to talk about student council and the BPC?
Yeah. For those who don't know me, I'm Lila Gilbert, and I'm a sixth grader here at Bugs. I really like being part of the clubs that I'm in, which is BPC, Hornet Headlines, and the Student Council, because as all the students know, it's been really hard during the pandemic to be able to get together with people and feel like you're not just a person alone on one side of the computer being taught anything. And then every Tuesday I come to student council and I get to work with my peers on all of these cool projects, and it's really a unique place where you can express your creativity and make your community more fun and exciting than it already is.
Thank you so, oh Lila, I'm sorry. But thank you so much. So one thing I want to emphasize that Gabe did bring up is that these clubs, while they are facilitated by myself and Mrs. Davis, are entirely student-led and student-operated. In which case, we really do want to emphasize that students are the key component here. this isn't some form of directive where they're being given assignments as much as they are themselves organizing among themselves, collaborating for amazing ideas and really pushing themselves to not only include everyone in their community, but also grow within themselves as writers, as leaders within their community. Thank you so much.
And unfortunately, my rep for National Junior Honor Society, NJHS, wasn't able to join, so I'm just going to tell you about that. Our 7th and 8th graders do have the ability to join the National Junior Honor Society. We are an official chapter, so they will receive an induction ceremony. It can go on their transcripts for high school. We participate in a lot of community service events. So in a typical school year, we do a can drive for Super Bowl Sunday, and it's soup. We do a homeless outreach where the kids make the food, and then we go to different areas of Brooklyn and hand out food and toiletries to the homeless. We run a Pennies for Patients fundraiser where we donate money to the Lymphoma Society. We're big on team building and teaching kids that whole student voice of leadership. So we go to Ramapo for an overnight trip. They do high ropes, low ropes, all different stuff to build teams and then bring it back to the school and turnkey that to members who didn't get a chance to go that year. And one of my favorite things is we participate in the LEAD conference. It's a leadership conference for National Junior Honor Society across the globe that happens in Washington, D.C. in February. So we take a delegation of kids. They meet up with other children and go to breakout sessions, very much like an adult conference. They get name tags and are really excited. We tour DC. We eat authentic Chinese food in a restaurant. They enjoy trying duck. It's a great experience, just all over the place. And can you tell from my smile that I have so much fun doing it? And also, as Mr. Mark said, NJHS is also 100% student run, really tapping into that CARES value of student voice. So we hope that you'll join Bugs. We hope that you'll join Student Council, BPC, and all of our other really great clubs that we have at Bugs.
Thank you, Ms. Lissy, Mr. Mark, and Bugs students. You all always do such a better job at sharing bugs with others than I ever could. I just want to do a quick wrap up of what we offer academically. Before we move on, we do use the Teachers College Reading and Writing Workshop Model and Curriculum for ELA. So students do argument essays, literary essays. There's a lot of reading and great books, and the libraries in our classrooms are constantly being updated every single year to keep up with the times and the things that students are interested in. All of our reading classes have their own libraries, and they're very well stocked. So students have that to look forward to. We do math and focus. We follow the New York State Scope and Sequence, their social studies and science, and we are revising our curriculums to include the NGSS standards. So we do follow a lot of the New York State requirements in terms of curriculum and standards and having standards-based curriculum. We also follow the DOE schedule and holidays throughout the school year. So folks who have kids who are in DOE schools and also choose to go to Bugs have that alignment to make it a little easier for planning. And our arts, we do have CAPA, as we said, which is creative and performing arts this year. It can change sometimes, but that is what we are offering this year. We have a lot of collaboration, as I said. Part of that collaboration is differentiation of curriculum and meeting students where they are. We have mild, medium, and spicy. As those of you who logged in earlier may have heard in the video, where teachers really use data to plan for meeting students' needs across the board in all of our curriculum and all of our classes. We have an intervention program. We were really happy to be able to invite students in for intervention, even though we were remote when we had field study this year. We were able to invite students in for intervention into the building, where teachers did use the data that they collect on an ongoing basis to meet students' needs. Susan, is there anything that I might have missed that I should
No, I
address
think
before
that's
we move
good. I think, could you talk a little bit more about enrichment and the choice involved?
So we have different classes that are offered to different grade levels. Spanish is offered in 7th and 8th grade. Kappa is offered, Kappa, Creative and Performing Arts, to 8th graders, and Kappa involves dance, acting, writing, singing. It's a combination of all things arts. We have visual arts offered to 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and tech that was offered to 6th and 7th graders this year. And like I said, sometimes it changes from year to year, but those are the opportunities that were offered. But we also have clubs that are offered during lunch and after school that involve a lot more arts, sports, like basketball, and I think Susan will get into more of the after-school program a little later, but there is a lot of arts offered in the after-school program as well. And I'm so happy to introduce you to Miss Laura, Miss Laura Carlin, who's going to tell you a little bit more about some new stuff and returning things now that we're back in the building.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here to share about this. As Lynette said, my name is Laura Carlin, and I am so happy to be one of the founding teachers at Bugs, and I've been there throughout the years. And I'm also, I've been a sustainability teacher, Spanish teacher, science teacher, and now I currently am a sustainability teacher and the garden manager and a coordinator for integrating sustainability across the 6th grade. I have the honor of being a Bugs parent this year for the first time, so I'm especially excited about that role this year. So I'm excited to tell you about 3 upcoming amazing projects that we have coming up next year. The community market is something that we piloted 2 years ago, but we haven't been able to do it the last 2 years due to the pandemic. But it was an amazing success, and it integrated, it was very interdisciplinary, and it integrated the arts, science. We included all the classes. We sold tea that included social studies, where they were talking about the, we included Mediterranean herbs when they were talking, when they were studying Rome. And we sold the plants. We included math because they were doing a lot of the economic evaluation of the market and what we needed to purchase and what we were earning and what we should order. So that was a 6th grade project that went incredibly well. So we're looking to have that happen again in this upcoming spring, or a year from now in the spring. We just received a large grant to get solar panels. So we're working on how to integrate the solar panels into the curriculum. So that is something that's still in development, but that's something really exciting to look forward to. And the Hydroponics Lab is this very large grant that we received through an organization called Sunworks. And we have 3 hydroponic systems now in our science classrooms, along with some mobile units that we can use to take to the cafeteria, to move around. And we're looking to not only use it for curriculum, but also to actually grow food and use it in our cafeteria. And so the students really get to see the closed loop of producing the food and then actually having it appear in the cafeteria. There's so many connections that we're going to make with this hydroponics lab. It includes chemistry, physics, biology, earth science, and water systems. So it's just an incredible resource that we're going to have. The teachers right now are all getting trained, and so we'll be ready to launch the systems and integrate into our curriculum in the fall. If you have any other questions about that, I'm happy to answer any questions in the chat, but I just want to give you a brief overview of exciting projects to come. Thanks.
Thank you, Laura. we do have our outdoor gardens that were developed by the students, and teachers frequently take students outside to have classes. That's a lot of what's happening right now that we're back in the building, actually, that our teachers are utilizing our outdoor garden space for classes and across content areas. Our art teachers actually teaching the art class outside for 8th grade, and all teachers who are interested, can do so. It's not just for sustainability classes or gardening. So we do have those spaces. We utilize Prospect Park. We have there's the gym, there's the yard. We have a lunch and recess period in the middle of the day that students can go outside. Our 8th graders actually go out to lunch in the 8th grade. Our 7th graders, we've talked about it and building that into their 2nd semester. We haven't tried it yet, but it is something that we have discussed and plan on moving forward with. Our 6th graders typically stay in the building and utilize the cafeteria and the schoolyard for recess. We do have lockers. We, of course, are not using them this year because students are in their classrooms because of the CDC guidelines for social distancing and maintaining safety for all in the school. But we do have lockers on a typical school year. Students get individual lockers to store their stuff, and they transition between classes on a typical school year. That's something that's always exciting to see in the hallway and how quickly it can happen, but we do have these opportunities for students to experience as well. And our high school. So as Laura said, she's experiencing having a 6th grader at Bugs. I have an 8th grader at Bugs and went through the high school application process and was really excited to have our counselor, Miss Anna Lee, who pretty much walks us through the high school process individually. She plans meetings with individual families, and if you do have follow-up, she's there to support you. She plans advisory lessons for the students and walks them through the process of researching high schools in advisory. And as you can see, we've had some great success with high school placement at Bugs. Our students are always very excited to do this work and collaborate with each other. I feel that my daughter had the skills based on the lessons that she received to do this research for herself and really identify schools that she was interested in, that, she felt that would work for her based on the support that she got in advisory. I also felt quite supported, and I feel that I can always rely on Miss Anna Lee to answer all my questions. The PTA also hosts sessions for high school information, and our wonderful and amazing parent coordinator, Kevin, although he is new to Bugs, has been really helpful, just jumped right in and was able to become informed and answer questions that families had. So there's a lot of support for high school admissions, and there's a lot of success in student placement as well. Next slide.
No, Wynette, remember to introduce Naomi.
Oh, that is right. And we have an alum, Naomi.
Naomi, woo!
And I forget about you. You're so awesome. Naomi will tell you a little bit more about her experience and her experience with high school placement as well.
Hi, I'm Naomi. I am a part of the Bugs class of 2020. I currently go to Packer Collegiate Institute for high school, and I was at Bugs for all 3 years. So some things that prepared me for the high school application process and just like going to high school, and that transition was the specialized high school program, like test prep program. I think that, and I took that in the 7th grade, and I think that a lot of students who wanted to go to specialized high schools, and a lot of students who were like just looking for test prep in that area found that really helpful to kind of trying to get into their school that they wanted to go to. And I know a couple of students in my grade who were able to get into those really competitive schools. So that was really exciting and really good that they were able to offer that, which can be like so expensive outside, but since it was offered as like a free program in school, that was amazing. I also was prepared through like advisory and being able to have those lessons where we would go over what we're doing next and what's the next step for applying to high school. So it was really good for like accountability and being able to be like, this is the deadline for this. This is when you should be submitting this, and this is when you should be researching this school, just so that we were prepared for the application process, which was really tiring. And especially if you don't have guidance, it could be a lot harder, but it was definitely easier when we had set deadlines and like a planned out schedule of what we should be doing and holding us accountable for that really important part of our life. And it was also really helpful having like my teachers who were like just super like dedicated and things. Like I asked my teachers for a recommendation in applying for like programs for high school. And like if students weren't applying to specific high schools, like that were open to admission, some people were going for more specific programs. So I had to get teacher recommendations, and it was so helpful to have teachers so willing to be able to be like, that's totally fine. I will totally write you a recommendation. And that was great because the staff is so dedicated. So those are just a couple of things, and like things like classes and being able to be challenged as you get older, and so that you're able to adjust a little bit better once you get to high school, which was just so helpful. And I'm really happy I was able to go through that before I transitioned into the 9th grade. So yeah, thank you.
I just want to say that Naomi is actually the founder of the Hornet headlines. And I hope that now that she gets to hear us talk about it, she's really proud that that's a legacy that you left at Bugs.
Thank you, Naomi.
Amazing.
Susan, I'm turning it back over to you. I'm sure
Okay, great.
enough of my voice for tonight.
No, this is all great. And Naomi, another segue, another imprint on Bugs that maybe you'll have. I do hope that we'll be able to work with you in that program, doing some performance with our students at Bugs, and it'll probably live in the after-school program. So this is my segue. We have an after-school program that is free. It has some requirements about how frequently you participate and things like that. You can get in touch with Ms. Valencia, who is the director for the program, at afterschool@bugsbrooklyn.org. Email's at the bottom. It's just an incredible opportunity to, for free, access both all this enriching opportunities and then also academic support. Alberto, can you do me a favor and put your mute on? So that does sound really nice. So there's a variety of recreational and social clubs that includes art and cooking and film and media, different arts, journalism. Pretty consistently, our students have been winning, like in the big, sort of citywide showcase of after-school programs, the video awards for both directing and acting and conceiving different videos. There's various sports teams and fitness activities. So there's our basketball team, the Hornets, is pretty competitive. There's a soccer team, track, cheer squad, there's yoga. The program incorporates social emotional learning, which we know is always important in adolescent development. And now more than ever, I want to assure you, not just in the after-school program, but in all of our planning for next year, and also, of course, for this year, has really been trying to think about what it's like for our kids during the pandemic, sort of post-pandemic, if I can dare to say that, and that we know that your kids entering middle school are coming from a different angle, having experienced what they've just experienced, and we are prepared for that. Social emotional learning is a real big piece of that, as are the arts and sort of whole child approach. So the after school program also incorporates SEL, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and leadership skills. There's academic support, which is largely like homework help. And there's civic engagement and community partnerships. And we try to stay coordinated very well with the after school, so that the stuff that happens during the school day and that happens after school kind of dovetails. It operates Monday through Friday. And then there's a certain like holidays where there's no school, where they have like full day programs as well. We can go to the next slide. So we're going to do a quick tour. Again, we're so sorry that you are not able to be with us in person. I'm going to be real quick because we've been answering your questions in the chat and sort of all along, but I want to be sure to get to some more of them. So you can go ahead and go to the next slide so you can see some of our spaces. So we are able to offer be a small school, like I said, that you can be a big fish in the small pond, but also be in the bigger pond of this large high school, which is kind of unprecedented in New York City. So there's a huge auditorium, huge gymnasium and cafeteria, also a recess yard, which we use very often. So we negotiate with the other schools in the building to access these shared spaces. 442 is in the building, as is pre-K 280, which is PS10's pre-K. And there's also some really nice opportunities. Sometimes our kids read to the pre-K and things like that. So there's some fun things there. And it's really great to have these spaces to share with them while also being a small school. So if you could go to the next slide. We do have our own entrance. So you see Wynette and Lydia there at the Bugs entrance. We have our gardens on each side of the entrance. We're using them all the time. So a lot of our classes are outside. I saw many of you asking about outdoor access. A lot of classes are outside now more than ever. And the sixth graders have their own wing. So here you can see they're presenting some projects on the side here for sort of a gallery walk of their work. And it's nice because sixth graders get like this one hallway. Someone was asking about time in between classes. You just have a couple minutes because you're really just going across the hall or next door right there in that hallway. So it's a nice sort of soft landing for sixth graders who are used to having, in most elementary programs, one classroom and predominantly one teacher. So it's pretty easy to just kind of go across the hall and go next door, and you're staying in your cohort, right? So you're staying with that same group of kids. You get a handle on your schedule pretty fast. But when you get to 7th and 8th grade, then you're in the 7th and 8th grade wing where all the tall kids are. And that's kind of exciting. And that's when you get your bigger locker and you sort of graduate to that other part. So if you could go to the next slide. Great. So we're going to move over to some questions and answers with Bugs team and families. I have to give another shout out. Sol and Lila were just like jumping in. You probably didn't even know that they were students, but they were just jumping into the chat, answering your questions, doing the Bugs, proactive student voice way. Really, really appreciate it. And thank you also, Gabriel, for being here, and Naomi, and hearing Lily's voice and everything. Just super awesome. And thanks to, Mark and Miss Lucy being here as well. So let's go to the next slide. We gathered some questions that were sort of were things that we had heard before. And so do we go to that slide, Susan, or we just read them?
Next slide, please, Kevin.
Okay, great. So when does the 2021-22 school year begin? So I think you heard that pretty loud and clear. It was August 30th, correct? Susan, we're recording this now. We're going to post this. Can we post this on the admissions page?
Yeah, we'll get it up tomorrow, tonight or tomorrow, and we can also email it to you guys as well.
Okay, great. Because I noticed that a lot of you were asking questions in the chat that we had kind of covered in the first few minutes with that like sort of nuts and bolts and like overview. So you can get a chance. Hopefully we addressed everything as it was rolling, but you can go back and, replay it if you want to or something like that. So we will put the recording on the admissions page of our website. Plans for hybrid and remote learning in the fall. Our plan, as we said, is to have 5 days of live instruction. It seems to be that is where health and safety guidelines are going, and we are very interested in having that kind of contact with our students. We also have larger classrooms since it was formerly a high school, the Bishop Ford Central Catholic High School. We have larger rooms, and our team has done an incredible job of keeping us safe during the pandemic, pivoting both academically and operationally. How did Bugs manage with learning during the pandemic? Janara, it sounds like you were willing to jump in there with that answer. Janara,
Yes, yes. Sorry, I had to unmic myself. Yeah, I mean, in general, the school acted very swiftly and always held the students, the stability of the students' learning and the stability of their academic program to its highest level. While the world was kind of falling around us, Bugs was very consistent and did everything they could to supply this level of normalcy for the students that was much needed around that time and continues to be needed, as our world is ever changing. Can I go off topic for just a quick sec?
Of course.
Okay, sorry. So one thing, I just want to say that I think that's really important. And I think to me, that's indicative of the spirit of the school. So I didn't expect the school to kind of handle things so incredibly well and so swiftly and so efficiently. And as they were doing that, I realized that is indicative of who the school is. The school is sort of grounded in getting the community together, rising above challenges, and really pushing forward. And my little off topic is because I saw some people asking about sustainability and is there more variety? When we first entered the school, those were one of my questions as well. But think about when everybody at Bugs talks about sustainability, they're also talking about it's steeped in the pedagogy of the school. So it's not just like recycling or learning about the environment or caring for the environment or environmental justice, which is all very important and gets talked about. It's also a pedagogy to the school. So the fact that the school could respond to a pandemic so quickly is because that sustainability is part of their DNA. It's part of how they teach. It's part of how they learn. So just think about that when you hear that word being bandied around. It's not just about making sure the bottles go into the right recycling bin and the paper goes into the right recycling bin. It's really about creating educational sustainable practices for the students. And I think that was all. That was my only off topic. But just one last thing. I just want to say, I've been in your shoes. We did this whole process. We went to all the school tours. We did all this. I can say confidently that what you're hearing today is who this school is. I can't tell you how many sessions I went in and I heard principals and I was like, is that really what this school is? Really? Are they shining me on? I'm telling you confidently what you're hearing today from all the teachers, from Susan, from Lynette, this is who the school is. So be confident in that you are getting the real deal 100% right now. So that's it. That's my spiel. Thank you.
Janara is amazing. And so thank you for that. Really appreciate it. It's so important to hear from fellow parents. And as many of you know who received the acceptance or offer letter, you can access other parents that are currently at Bugs to ask questions. And so feel free to do that. And if you're not sure on how to do that or you lost track of that, just write us at admissions@bugsbrooklyn.org if you want to talk to some more parents. What kind of arts programs does Bugs offer? I think we covered that pretty well around the enrichment pieces that you heard Wynette talk about a couple times, and then also in the after school. Arts are really important to adolescent development and the whole child approach. What is advisory? Oh, great. So Mark and Gabe are going to jump in with advisory. Are you Gabe's advisor?
I am Gabe's advisor. It was kind of perfect that it worked out that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just to give you a brief on what typical advisory looks like. So me as an advisor, I would introduce the students to the day, give them kind of a brief on what the day is going to be, if there are any outstanding events going on. And typically what our advisory lessons will cover are different social topics, different socio-emotional learning pieces that may come up. And additionally, we also have academic check-ins throughout the week. And Gabe, can you talk a bit about your experience with me as your advisor?
Yeah, sure. So in advice, we always, in the beginning of advisory, we take a bit of time to talk about what's happening for the day, and then sometimes we'll do like a special event. Sometimes we play a Kahoot to find out. We play a Kahoot, which is, I don't know if everybody knows what a Kahoot is, but it's a game where you just answer questions. Anyway, so we only do that sometimes though. Usually we get a little bit of time to work at the end of advisory. If we have like any extra work in other classes, we're allowed to work on that. And Mr. Mark always helps us with our work. Sometimes if we have special questions or we have questions about something, he'll take us into a breakout room and give us a little help on something. And it's been great.
Well, thanks, Gabe. I was hoping that this wouldn't be an instance where you remind me of times where I didn't open up the room on the dot. But all in all, we have a great culture with advisory, and all advisors typically act as the point person for their advisees. In which case, if they have any questions or concerns, or if there's a concern they have with another teacher, or maybe an assignment they're hoping to get more clarification on, the advisors are typically the initial point person for that. So tying into the academics portion of it, we also act as liaisons, if you will, for our students. And really they're representatives in this big, scary new experience for them.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Mark and Gabe. Before I pass it off to Lucy, because it looks like Lucy is going to help us with some of your questions about different learning levels that we also saw. And also a lot of questions about homework. It's been a little different this year. But first I'm going to address screen time, which is also a little bit connected to homework. During COVID, we immediately transitioned to a lot of live instruction. So that we continued with sort of the same schedule. There was a sense of normalcy. You heard Janara say that was many appreciated, but we did adjust over time, as we all have had, and you may be having at this very moment, sort of Zoom fatigue, Google Meet fatigue, and screen fatigue. So it's really important to look holistically both at the student and also at the day. So we did a few things. We did the grade teams are looking at the virtual backpack, which we've always had, which is kind of like the course load or the homework load and the course load and what's happening any given week or throughout the month, to look for interdisciplinary connections, to look at look at the average 6th or 7th or 8th graders homework load when different big projects are coming up and things like that. And they also were to consider screen time as well. So teachers worked hard to try to find alternative ways to kind of engage students and get off the screen as much as possible. We've also done outdoor field study projects and things like that, not just live, but also independent that kids do on their own. We also adjusted the school day. So we did actually shorten our day so that at the end of the day, there are intervention periods where students are either invited for one-on-one work, or they can they can request that time as well. So pivoting again is what we try to do, and to meet the needs of our students in this, crazy and evolving world over time. We also engage in something called Brain Powers, a tool that we use as well. We've traditionally had transcendental meditation, which also really helps to recenter the mind and prepare for more learning. But something called Brain Power that we've used is tools that kind of just get the kids up, stretching, moving, doing different cognitive and physical exercises that just kind of reset the body and the mind and get you away from the screen for a little bit and then come back. So yeah, those are a few of the things. I think it will really, as we get into the class more, if we're not juggling, sort of remote and hybrid at the same time, we're really looking forward to more live, less tech-heavy instruction and reduced screen time. Lucy, can you help us out with differentiation? I think I saw you in the chat rocking that a little bit, but can you talk a little bit about that with advanced classes and struggling students, as well as the expectations of homework? This year, as I said, we pivoted where there essentially is no homework. Kids have a lot on their plates, and they were to finish any classwork that they couldn't finish during the course of their synchronous or asynchronous class. We didn't assign special homework, but maybe Lucy, you can speak to what normally it's like.
Yeah, thank you, Susan. So these are some heavy topics. Okay, so I'm going to address, how do I support different learning levels? Are there more advanced classes? Are kids together? What if kids are struggling first? So first off, as Principal Winnett mentioned before, we are all ICT classes. Mr. Mark and I are 6th grade social studies co-teachers. One of the things that I think is absolutely amazing, so in all of our classrooms, we have one certified special education teacher and one general education teacher. If you were to ask our students who are here in this call or former students, I don't think they'd be able to tell you which one of us is which is a true testament to our school. Nobody knows which one of us has a SPED license. And that's a great thing. So we work with all kids heterogeneously. There are some really easy answers to that, like all of our reading is leveled by Lexiles. So kids can choose to read something that is below their grade level, at grade level, or above grade level in all of our readings. They can elect to raise or drop it down for an extra reach, which is one of our CARES values, or just to make sure that they completely understand the topic, read something below it. We do small groups in our classrooms, so having 2 teachers in a room is really beneficial. Mr. Mark may pull one group, I may pull another. We don't usually pull low groups and high groups just because that's not pedagogically where education is these days. Heterogeneous grouping is great because a child who is super high can help bring up a child who is low. It also takes away that self-fulfilling prophecy of kids who are like, well, I'm always in the low group. So Bugs does not do that. We don't track students. We're really about making sure that everybody is learning and everybody can access the curriculum. So we do a lot to meet the child where they are, make sure that everybody has access to everything. So it's not just the work itself. We're very flexible with our seating. If a child works better standing due to, parents mention things like ADHD in the chat, that's great. I want you to learn the topic. I don't care if you do it sitting, standing, doesn't matter to me. We're gonna engage in the topic. We do a lot of project-based learning, so that reaches a lot of different modalities. Kids who struggle with answering questions on a test that are like, I taught it to you, repeat it back to me, might do really well being able to give a presentation or an art project or something that shows me that they have mastered the concepts of it. So we're very flexible when it comes to figuring out how a child learns best and then tailoring our projects to make sure that that is met. So a lot of the projects Mr. Mark and I do, for example, are choice-based. Kids can choose to make a website, they can choose to make a political cartoon, they can choose to write a speech, they can choose to do an art project, all different sorts of things. And to shout out Janara Olifair's project, always on point. I miss her videos. We also have a child study team. So if we are concerned about a student, there are many different layers of outreach that we can do in order to provide more serious interventions for students who need it, and find ways to make sure that they get all of the supports that they need. I think that was all that I had to write down about that. So many notes here. But I'll also jump into the next question. What are the expectations of homework? So another thing that Bugs is pretty strong on, and I appreciate, it's one of the reasons I work here, is we don't believe in giving kids busy work. So normally what homework looks like for us is children have to read every single night. Reading is fundamental. And they do something called stop and jots because we're a TC school, as we mentioned. So interacting with the text, annotating the text. How is it like text to self, text to world, all the different ways that they can access that. They'll usually get a math packet in math class that will be given out on a Monday. They're skills that are covered all week. And that packet will be due at the end of the week normally. And then, as I said, we're a project-based school primarily. So for science and social studies, they'll usually have projects that they're working on during class time, every day layering a new skill on. And if they'd like to go home and work on those projects because they have due dates on them, that's part of what they might do as homework, but there's nothing that's officially given usually. And I'm using Mark and I as an example, if we are doing something like a Socratic seminar where kids are gonna sit around in the room and they're gonna talk with each other about the Hippocratic Oath and whether or not it's still valid in today's world. We may give them a reading that night to go home and annotate. That way they're prepared for class the next day. But as far as somebody coming home and saying, I have 3 hours worth of homework a night, that's not what Bugs does. If there are other questions that I can answer, please feel free to put them in the chat. I'd be more than happy to help you out with that. I think I covered everything there for you.
That was perfect. That was so great, Lucy. Thank you so much. All right.
Susan, if I can jump in for a
Yeah,
minute
please.
just to add on to what Lucy was saying. Our teacher, Miss Lucy, was a true testament to the Bugs teacher leader, by the way. She knows everything that's going on in every subject area in her grade level, and that's awesome. But we also do the virtual backpack, and that involves teachers actually meeting and looking at the work that is being assigned to students so that they can be on the same page about how much work students actually have on a given day and how much homework is being assigned across content areas so that students aren't overloaded. So I just wanted to highlight the virtual backpack and say that in every way we try to consider the workload and how much time is being spent outside of school on schoolwork.
That's great. And I'm cognizant of the time, but maybe we'll blow through these other ones. The support for plans for supporting new students after this pandemic year is definitely on our mind, as you heard me mention before, whether it's our planning of student orientation. We're looking at potential some summer engagement pieces, and just really our approach to next year, to really supporting your kids who have been through so much in their 5th grade and end of 4th grade years. So that's something that we'll be looking at in our advisory program and that curriculum, as well as in our classes, in our house system, and our culture. And we have 2 wonderful counselors if additional and more acute support is ever needed. So what, if any, supports are in place for LGBTQ plus students? Mark and maybe some of the kids here talked a little bit about that. I think, did we cover that, or we want to say something more?
Just a couple of more points. But really quickly, I just want to say, address one of the questions in the chat. When we refer to the phrase spicy, it refers to the idea of something being more complex, requiring a higher, if you're familiar with DOK, a higher depth of knowledge. So something that requires more abstract thought that not all students will be able to access, but that students who are more adept at the subject will be able to tackle, and it avoids them feeling like they have busy work. Now, more to the point at hand. One of the things that we do at Bugs is we highly encourage students to feel safe, protected, and to feel comfortable in the identity that they identify with. 2 of our students who are currently with us are active members of the Bugs Pride community, run by one of our teachers here, Mix J. Sontag. Additionally, I just want to point out that as far as like official like denominations within the school, students are allowed to identify the way that they identify as, and that is respected throughout the school community. Meaning that if a student chooses to identify by a gender that was not assigned to them at birth, every teacher, every staff member in the community is aware and is able to identify or speak with the student in a way that they are comfortable. But rather than me continue to speak about this, I'm going to turn it over to our students who will be able to speak more to their experiences.
Hey. So to add on to what Mr. Mark is saying, I am part of one of our clubs, which is the Bugs Pride community. And to respond to the general question, how are LGBTQ plus students supported? I think in my experience, it's really nice to have this group that's in your school that knows how you feel and is there to support you throughout your journey of self-identity, of discovering your identity if you are going through that. and it's like this group, it's like I said before, it's just like a constant support from people who have gone through what you went through or are going through, and it's just really great to have a space where you can be yourself no matter what anyone else thinks.
Yeah, I think what Lila said definitely I also think that is very true. I also think that, like, not just being the support for everyone, no matter what they identify as, no matter who they like, there's that constant support for that, not just in the BPC, not just in the BPC school club. Like, in the beginning of the year, when everyone was first like meeting each other and getting to know each other in advisories and just in general, everyone went around saying their pronouns and being very very open about who they are, and all of the pronouns that have been used are respected by teachers and mostly by students. For some people, it is hard to get used to it. I remember that in my elementary school, that wasn't integrated in getting to know each other. There was no pride community at all. And so I was able to learn a lot, and I know a lot being in the BPC, and just being a student at Bugs. Many people that maybe aren't LGBTQ plus get to, like, kind of be part of that community without actually being part of it. They still get to be allies and learn about it and be able to support their friends, even their teachers. And I just think that in general, the question, what, if any, supports are in place for LGBTQ students, there is a lot of support for LGBTQ students and for teachers. We have LGBTQ plus teachers in our school, and I think that everyone is definitely supported, and yeah.
Thank you so much, Sol. That's amazing. And I think I've often heard kids say that, you know, at Bugs, you can be who you are. And I hear that from the staff too. And that's really the kind of environment that we're trying to create. Be who you are and discover who you are. Let's just wrap this up with a couple more questions. Some really important questions in the chat about social emotional learning, as we talked about before. We can just spend a few more minutes on that. And then also about, if we haven't heard from the DOE yet, can the deadline be extended? So we will definitely consider that. We don't want a false answer from you guys, right? Like, we want to know who our class is coming in. So we would rather your answer be a true answer and have all the information that you need in order to know that. So we will consider that. So stay tuned as it becomes more obvious when the DOE is publishing their results. In terms of the social emotional learning piece, and there's some really thoughtful questions in here about that. I'll just reiterate again and expand that this is something we're thinking about a lot in planning for school year 21-22, and thinking about our new students and also thinking about our current students who have been through so much. They've been through trauma, they've been through some stunting in social emotional growth, through the reduction in interactions in social groups, and even in-person interactions with adults. There's been some silver linings to the pandemic too that you may have experienced as a family, for sure, but there's a lot sort of to support and overcome as well. So we're considering that, as I said, in our orientation focus, in our advisory curriculum, in our culture our proactive sort of culture events, the house system projects, the things that we talked about before, the interactions between grade levels and the things that they do. We're thinking about that also with how we really leaned into field study this year, and we'll continue that. That is a part of the BUGS approach and mission. So using outdoor education, the experience of being outdoors together, and there's no such thing as bad weather. There's just bad preparation for the weather and bad clothing. But we overcame a lot of obstacles to be outside together and experience learning in social situations outside, and we will continue to lean into that. So again, we have, for a small school, to have 2 full-time counselors is a really big advantage that we have. That was part of our model. And you're definitely partners in that. So we know that our parents have had a lot of trauma themselves, we've been trying to support them in your journey and our current parents' journey, and that this has not been an easy time for anyone. So we hope to be your partner if this is the right fit for you and your child. And I think that about covers it. I hear my chat plinging. Is that about it? Anybody else? Any final questions, Susan Bax?
I think you got it all, Susan.
All right, going once, going twice. Thank you so much for being with us.
No, I'm going to the next slide.
Oh, okay, next slide. Okay, great. So this is what you're going to do. You have more questions. You're still digesting. You're going to check out our website. You're going to write us at admissions@bugsbrooklyn.org if you have questions. You're going to check out our curriculum on that curriculum page. You have admissions questions. You're going to go on the admission page. You want this recording, you're going to go on the admissions page. If you want to contact the PTA, you can contact the executive board directly at this email. Janara is the president of the PTA. She's amazing. She can answer your questions or hook you up with someone who can from the parent perspective. And then our special education and English language learners, if you have specific questions around implementation of your child's IEP or evaluation or just general questions, Sade Martinez right here. And I love Sol's quote here. This is really beautiful with the BUGS hat. Something I would say to new 6th graders. Wait, Sol, you're here. Read your quote and take us out. My voice isn't cute. Can you do it? Are you gone? All right, she's gone.
Oh, no, sorry.
You want to read your quote?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I am using my BUGS Chromebook at the moment, and it just completely froze as you said that. And so I was just like, oh no, she thinks I'm not here. I want to say it. So I was like rushing a lot. It just completely froze, and I was really sad. Okay, so basically, I remember when I was asked this question. So what I said is something I would say to new 6th graders is that BUGS is a safe place to truly be who you are, like I was talking about before. I also have made many friends and love my teachers. On your first day of school next year, don't worry, it's going to be okay. I wanted to say this because a lot of the time, especially when I was in 5th grade, even virtually, they told us to the kids that are going into 5th grade next year, give them advice. And I also got advice from 5th graders that are now 7th graders, the year 1 year older than me. And so I wanted to do this because I remember people would always tell me, oh, the first day of school is going to be okay. And I would always worry about the first day of school because it's always just so nerve-wracking, and you could never take away the butterflies that are in your stomach in the first day of school or going to a new school or even just the next grade if you're in the same school. But I just want to tell you that even if you don't think that you're going to like your advisory, I remember when I first started off, except for my friend Lila that I went to elementary school with, I remember I was just like, I don't like my advisory. I don't like the people in it. The teacher's okay. And then I just had to get to know people to truly be able to make friends and be able to connect with the school. And now I have tons of friends, and I have a lot of memories with my advisory and the teachers. And I just also feel like before hybrid started, I just wanted to say this quickly. I think field study was really great to have because it was still like a social thing that we could do together that was outside to get off of screens. So yeah, I just wanted to say that too.
You guys are awesome. Thank you, Bugsters. Thank you, potential Bugsters. And just write us at admissions if you have any more questions. Hope we'll see you next year. Thanks a lot.
Lila, you had a hand. Did you want to say something? We're not going
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to Sil really quickly, and say like, with the first day of school thing, a lot of people are really nervous on their first day of school. I know I was like, oh my God, it's like a whole new school online. I don't know any of my teachers. None of my friends are going to be there except Sol. Like, what am I going to do? But what you have to remember is that it's not just you that's scared. Like, there's a huge chance that you're not the only one who's nervous for like this new day in a new grade or a new school. And you just have to remember, like Sol said, it's going to be okay, and you're going to make friends, and the likelihood that you're the only one that is terrified is very small.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And everybody have a great evening. Enjoy the balmy breeze, and we hope we'll see you next year. Thanks.
Thank you.